Okay, so this is Playwright with Rec and Roll, right? For Rec and Roll is a BDD framework. For those guys that have been, uh, for those guys that have been in automation for a while, you will remember the days of SpecFlow. So SpecFlow have now kind of gone into an enterprise version. It's no longer free, right? So it means that, yeah, you cannot use SpecFlow as a free or open source anyway. So, and because of that, there's Rec and Roll, right? Anyway, so if you are going for interviews, right, and you said, I use SpecFlow, right? Presently, it's maybe that is a flag, a red flag anyway. So because you need to, unless you've already kind of have a version that you are using before and you've not upgraded anyway. So but nowadays people use Rec and Roll. So bear that in mind. So yeah, I've actually called this made easy like ABC. So yeah, basically it's going to be easy for you anyway. So we are looking into test automation too anyway. So that is what we are looking into. So now, so for you to set up test automation too, right? For you to set up test automation too, I've put ABC. The first step is environment setup, and the second step is creating your project. Right, in this time around is Playwright project, and the third step is creating your feature, step definition, and page object. And the sixth step is the most critical part anyway, because that is what you're going to be doing repetitively. Right, first step, set up your environment. Second step, create your project, right? So in this time around, we are going to be creating Playwright with Rec and Roll project, right? Then after that, in the third step, we will be creating feature files, our step definition, our page update. That is a foundation that we want to use for this particular training. So for the first step, right, you need to download Visual Studio. If you haven't got one, right, we are going to look into that. Yeah. Then after you've downloaded the Visual Studio, you need to install it, okay? You install the Visual Studio. After you install the Visual Studio, you also install Playwright and Rec and Roll, right? So one thing that I also need to let you know, like Rec and Roll, you need to install the uh, you need to install the extension of Rec and Roll, right? So I will show you how to do that. So once you've done that, because you are installing the Rec and Roll extension, so you need to start your Visual Studio and open it again. So that your the extension can be incorporated into your Visual Studio. This is one step. You don't need to repeat it. So then moving into the step B. Step B is also divided into 4 steps. Right? The step B, what we need to do, we create our project, we add the page object folder, we add the hook folder, and we have the test folder. This is just folder adding. This is basically what I call the architectural diagram of the test automation. This is not you creating the page object, it's you just creating the project and then adding the folder structure that is required anyway. In some interviews, they will also ask you, as in, how would your folder structure look like when you are creating your test automation? You need to be able to remember this to say, okay, yeah, I will create my hook, and inside my hook, this is what I put in there. And inside my page object, I put on the page and also the page object in there, so and also the test data. So this is what I would recommend. And in terms of the step C, right, you have ability to you create your nugget packages that you need. In this time right now, we will need to create the Playwright Nugget package. You create your feature now. In the previous session, in the step B, we've created a folder for feature file. So you now create the feature file. So then also you create your step definition inside the step definition folder, and then you create your page object inside the page object folder. So that is the steps that we are going to use. It's going to be as simple as possible, easy to be honest. Within 1 hour, I think you should be able to kind of finish it if everything goes well anyway. Yeah. So now introduction quickly, right? So Let's talk about Playwright quickly. So Playwright is new, right? Is one of the fast-moving automation tools out there, making the wave in the giving Selenium a run for its money anyway. So it's an end-to-end framework, right? So that means it supports multiple browsers. You can use Chrome, you can use Firefox, you can use and Edge as well. So, and it's built by Microsoft. Of course, the Microsoft is kind of pushing it right now. So, and one thing is like in the previous version of Microsoft application, test application that they put in out there before, it can only run on C#. But this time around, they've made it to run on JavaScript, TypeScript, Python, Java, .NET, which is why it's actually making a lot of noise as well, because it is not it's not only available on .NET, which is from Microsoft, it's also available in Java as well, and also Python. So, and some key features about this particular automation tool anyway. So for me, the major key factor for Playwright is the fact that you can do auto weighting, right? Auto weighting is a great thing. It's one of the challenges that we have with Selenium, because with Selenium, you have to write your weight, whether explicit, implicit, and even if that's not working, some people will put thread dot sleep. But that is already been solved within Playwright, right? So you can auto weighting and everything, and also the fact that you can run headless on headed mode. This is also applicable in Selenium as well anyway. So you can run it headless. Headless means that you would run your test and you don't see any browser being opened, right? So, and your test will run and you will pass or you fail without even have anything. It's really, really good when you are running it within the CI/CD framework, and then you don't even need to see the browser opened, right? Headed mode will be, you will see the interaction. You will see that your object is being clicked and you can see it. And also, you can also run it in parallel as well, which means that you can run several tests at once anyway. So it actually have the built-in tracing. This is one thing I also love most within Playwright, the tracing, ability to be able to see that, the trace within that. And also inside that, you also see screenshots. Another reason why it is better than Selenium, right? Because with Selenium, you have to write your screenshots, right? You have to write your method for your screenshot and put it in there. And not only the screenshot within Playwright, you can even see the video of your automation. And that is a great thing. And also, you can support other web applications like Angular, React, or Vue anyway, So so I will move this one quickly anyway. Why do you use Playwright anyway? Like I said, it's fast, it's reliable, it's stable because of the weight and that is embedded. Gone are the days within Selenium that you have force failure or that your test will fail. It's not because because basically the object is not available on time, then it fails. But right now, Playwright has actually solved that issue. So you can run mobile view of a web app and also desktop one browsers as well. And network marking and geolocation is another thing. For me, maybe I should have put this one in bold as well. Another great thing that Playwright introduced is record and replay. Most of us that are old in automation will remember the days of Selenium IDE, where you record and play, and then everything is fine. So Playwright is bringing that right now with their code gen. So you will record your sessions and you will then create the code for you. And that is the beauty right now. So that means when we get to this point, right? So you don't even need to know how the code is generated. Just record your steps, right? And then it generates the code for you, and that's it. And that in itself, I think, is a game changer for people that don't have experience with coding, right? So Playwright would record for you, right? And you copy your code, right? So for me, it makes your job easier, and also automation is becoming easier. You don't need to cram your head or start thinking, how will I do this? How would I do that? So you just record and copy the code and off you go anyway. So yeah. Okay. So for this session, we are going to be looking into Playwright in .NET as well as BDD. So, and when you go online, you will see a lot of Playwright with JavaScript or with or TypeScript. Not a lot of people have done videos about or trainings about .NET, right? Maybe because I'm partial or I might be biased because I'm an MVP with Microsoft, and I think, yeah, this product is made with Microsoft, and also we need to also do some training on it for the language that Microsoft actually built, actually, so which is .NET anyway. So I'm going to be doing this series anyway to cover that. So how do you use Playwright with Microsoft? And like someone asked, would happen every Saturday from 9:30 to 11:30 every Saturday. So you can tell your friends that is in IT or in automation, you want to move into automation. Yeah, please join this session next week as well. Okay. So a quick overview about how a playwright code will look like anyway. So as you can see, even this particular 5 steps covers everything there is to be covered within Playwright anyway. So first, you just need to use your package, Microsoft.Playwright, and after that, declare your Playwright actually. So to create a sync process for you. Then after that, launch the web, whether headless or in head mode. Then after that, yeah, you can actually ask it to navigate or create your page and then go to a particular page. And that's it. So as simple as those 4 steps, you've actually kind of initiated or set up that automation that you want to, and it's going to run your application for you. Today, we're going to look into this anyway. Yeah. So Rec and Roll, right? So like I said before, Rec and Roll is a BDD application anyway, so which replaces Specklo. We are going to see that in operation, so which is using Gherkin, which is a woman language readable test anyway in the form of giving when then. So and that's what we are going to use today. Okay. All right, I'm going to skip this one anyway because this is not, yeah, we're going to look into it in full anyway when we come to Gherkin and automation. But just know that Rec and Roll actually is a Gherkin automation language anyway, so which is basically in code. So I'm going to skip that. So now, yeah, let's move into setup, right? For you to set up your automation, right? So you start with downloading Visual Studio. I know someone actually asked in the chat that do I need to install anything, right? So we would look into that and automation, right? So for you to set up all your automation, right? So you need to download Visual Studio. I'm going to go through this anyway. How we're going to do that. So after you've downloaded it, then you do the rest. So to download your Visual Studio, you just need to go through the steps. Don't worry, this is just a theory part anyway. We're going to move into the automation part where we are going to go through this step one after the other. I just want to lay the basics anyway. So the first thing is, yeah, you need an IDE, which is integrated development environment, right? An IDE that we are going to use is Visual Studio. Maybe you might go for an interview, they ask you what IDE are you using? Basically, they are asking about the platform or the application that you are using to run your test on anyway. So for that is we are using Visual Studio to set up our automation and also to use it to run our framework anyway. So for you to do that, you go to visualstudio.microsoft.com and install that from there. So once you've done that, you can also install the community version. For some of you guys, you already have it anyway. So then after that, you start the installation by opening the download the file. So that is done for you. The next step is to install Visual Studio. So for you to do that, what you need to do is, open that file in there. So once that is opened, you would pop up the installer. Then after that, you would download it for you. And this is one thing that you need to know during the installation. You need to check the .NET desktop development, because that is what we are doing. We are not creating an ASP.NET application. We are not creating a Python. We are not creating an Azure. We are only creating a test automation, which is a .NET desktop application. And that is what you need to click on, right? So once you click on it, and this would display for you the optional. You don't need to worry about anything. Don't click on it. The only thing that you need to click is this one. Then after that, you then click on install. And that's what you need to do, okay? And that should start the installation for you. And once it's finished, you then click, you don't want to sign in for now, just continue. Then after that, you need to then select your environment that you want to use, right? So, and that will be the development setting will be C#, Visual C#. Then once you've done that, you then select the theme, color theme. So if you like, go for blue. If you want to be techie, you might also go for the dark one anyway. So, and that will start preparing your Visual Studio environment for you. And then you can go to click without code. So that would give you the installation, which is now completed anyway. So, and from the next one is to install the rec and roll, right? So, that is rec and roll extension, right? So for you to do that, the first thing I ask you to do, right? So because this is what we are trying to do, we want to install the Playwright and rec and roll extension. So first thing, we need PowerShell, right? So this is the point that people are kind of falling over. So please, if you miss this step, you might not be able to do the next step. So please bear that in mind. So, and so you need to install PowerShell. And for you to be able to do that, you need to actually go to this particular URL. Is a GitHub repository, github.com/PowerShell/PowerShell/release. To be honest, I really don't know why they are putting two PowerShell subdomain in that there anyway, but that is the URL. Okay. So once you've gone to that environment, you might need to scroll down, right? So, and then click on show all 28 assets, right? So, because as you can see, this is only showing Linux, okay? So, and you need to kind of get the right one for your system, okay? So if you are using Windows, right, you need to specify the right one. If you're on 64-bit or 86-bit, okay, so you need to specify the right one, okay. As at the time of doing this screenshot, the latest version is 7.1 Windows anyway. And I know some people say I've got PowerShell installed. So you might have the old PowerShell installed, which hasn't got the ability to be able to install Playwright. Do you get it now? So you need to kind of install this version. Playwright is new. You won't have it within the previous version that you have to be able to run the PowerShell script for Playwright. So you need to kind of install this particular version, if that's okay. So once you've done that, this is the real version. I'm going to put it in the chat later anyway. So so once you've done that, you would then open the application and you can click on next. Then when you get to this point, select all the options except from disable telemetry, right? So, and that would kind of does everything for you anyway. Then click on install and then click on finish. After that is finished, and that's it. And then the next one is for you to open Visual Studio, right? So once you open Visual Studio, like I said before, click on continue without code. And once you've done that, continue without code. And that is what that opens that for you. And then once the Visual Studio is open like that, we need to add rec and roll extension, right? So, and some of you guys that have already got SpecFlow, you might also need to uninstall it as well. I will talk about that because it would conflict, right? So what you need to do is just go for you just need to go to the step to uninstall SpecFlow and as well install the rec and roll extension. So the rec and roll will let you add the BDD version anyway. So from there, you can be able to kind of highlight your feature files, have auto complete or IntelliSense within your getting steps. Or to be honest, if you don't understand what I'm saying right now because you are new, don't worry, right? So it's something that we would look into later. So yeah, so that is that. So the step to go through to install your rec and roll extension is to kind of go into Visual Studio and select extension and select manage extension. Then after you select the manage extension, the screen opens for you to, and you can type rec and roll, right? Once you type rec and roll, it opens rec and rolls for you for that particular Visual Studio instance. One thing that I need to let you know is that you need to do this for every Visual Studio instance that you have, right? So let's say you uninstall this one, right, and you install another Visual Studio, you need to do it again. And it's only once. It's not something that you do for every project. So this is only applicable for your Visual Studio instance. Just bear that in mind, okay? So once you've done that, it is very, very important for you to restart your system, right? Because if you not system rather, for you to restart your Visual Studio, because if you don't do that, there's a particular pop-up at the back of your screen, right? That you may not see now, right? So I would advise that, yeah, close your Visual Studio, right? So once you close it, you will see a screen like that anyway. So which will now install Visual Studio. You might start with initializing, then updating, then also from there, you might, if you already have one before, you might ask it to update or something. Then after it's finished, you would want to ensure that you get this particular screen here that shows modification is complete. Then you can click on close. So that is that in terms of the step that you need. So for that, so, and okay, so the next step now is for you to create your project, right? For you to do that, you just need to kind of go through the steps. So the first thing, create your project. So we are going to use a different approach today compared to what we did last time anyway. So we are going to open Visual Studio. Hopefully this step is straightforward, it's simpler than the other steps in terms of using PowerShell. Okay, so once you open your Visual Studio, go to continue without code, right? Okay, no, this is not even, yeah, so, okay, 1 minute, so let me go back quickly. So once you open your Visual Studio, click on new and click on project, new project, okay? So, and now that should open that screen for you, right? Because you've already got rec and roll extension. If you don't see this, right, if you search here and you put rec and roll, right, it should open it for you, right? If you don't see that, it means that you've not actually installed rec and roll extension, okay? So you need to do that, okay? So once you click on file, new project, it should bring rec and roll project template for you, right? If it doesn't bring it, type it here and it should come up. If it doesn't come up, go back to do the step for extending your Visual Studio. Once you've seen the rec and roll, click on next, right? And it will then bring up your project name. Type the project that you want, the location, and that will be it anyway. So like in my own case now, I am saying I'm creating a project called test automation. I am storing this in the location called BlueSky Citadel /test. One thing that I also want to tell you, right? This information, don't forget, for it's going to help your life forever. So in terms of names in automation, when you are creating your names, ensure that you don't put space in between, right? Not like test space automation. No, everything has to be together, right? So, and the same thing when you're writing your code. If you are not sure about how to do your names, you better use one word, right? So that you don't even need to bother about, is it going to be space or not anyway. So, and if you're using two words, right? This is what we call a common case nomenclature, right? So the first word will start with a capital and the next word also the first letter of the words will start with capital. Like you can see in my own case now, the T is capital and the A is capital, right? That is what you need to do anyway. And yeah, so ensure that you don't have space within your text, within your project name. This is very, very important. Okay, so once you've done that, it will bring this for you, right? As at the time of doing this, so the most recent .NET project is 8.0, and some people might have, maybe you might have 9 or you might have 7.0. So, but it's 8.0 that I've got anyway. So then once you extend this, you would see whether you want to use NUnit, MSTest, or XUnit. So for now, we are going to use NUnit. And then after that, you click on create anyway. So that will do that for you. So this is the standard folder structure that comes right anyway. So for you, right? So which you have this year. So now the next step that I said before is for us to now complete the folder structure based on the architectural diagram that I've got anyway. So yeah, so that is created. So now we need to add a few folder structure, right? For it to be complete, right? So, and we need to you need to do that anyway. So yeah, so for us to do that, you need to, okay, first thing, let's first build the application, right? So for you to build the application, I need to also let you know something quickly, right? So because I would be talking about this, right? So when I say solution, at the top here, right, in your solution build explorer, this is the solution explorer. You're going to see it on your right-hand side anyway. So you have solution at the top, right? And this is the one that's got the solution. Sometimes it might be the same name as the one at the bottom. The one at the bottom is your project name. Okay, so inside a solution, you would have at least one project, right? So because a solution can host more than one project. Okay, so you have test automation here, and you have the project at the bottom here. So, and then you have all your folders in there. So yeah, when you are building, you can build the solution and you can also build the project anyway. For now, let's just build the solution. Right click on the solution and click on build solution. That will build the solution for you. Then after that, you want to see your test, right? Okay, you need to go to your test menu, click on your test menu, click on your test explorer, and that will bring that for you. And this should look like this anyway. So the one that we have is only the explorer. So that is that, and we are ready, and it's telling us welcome to spec rec and roll, blah blah, like that anyway. So, and that is fine. We just cannot continue anyway. So for some of you guys that you've got spec flow already installed, okay, what you need to do also is the same thing. Go to your extension, manage extension, and uninstall rec and roll. This is very, very important. Otherwise, it's going to conflict with, so uninstall SpecFlow that are not rec and roll, uninstall SpecFlow so that it doesn't conflict with rec and roll. Yeah. So once you've started, you're just going to go through that, and that will be it. Right. So the next step now is to add your page object, right? So page object is there for you to be able to use the page object module, right? So that every object in your automation are stored in this particular folder, right? So like when you go to, let's say, login menu or login page, you create a page object for the login, you create a page object for the registration. Every page that you want to automate, you have a page object class for them, right? So this will be stored in that particular folder. So it will be good to create a folder for that. So for you to do that, right, you just need to, I'm talking about the page objects, and also we need to create the test folder. So you just need to right click, for instance, now right click on your project now, not solution now. Right click on your project and click on add and click on new folder. So right click on your project and then click on add, click on new folder. do not right click on your solution, okay? It's the project, okay? Because if you right click on the solution, you are going to be creating the folder under your solution, but the folder should exist under your project. Yeah. So once you've done that, then you create your page object inside that, okay? So once that page object is created, right? So you can do the same thing, the same process for the hook and also for the test data. So and that would create that for you anyway. So that is the step anyway. So, and yeah, so like I said, if you have an issue, yeah, with rec and roll, right, and you're having something like this, right, so which is not showing the Cucumber logo like that, so you need to kind of look into how your extension is done, right, if it's done properly anyway. So yeah, so that is one thing that you need to look into. Yeah, so if you look at your extension and it's not still working, so I would advise you just start your Visual Studio. This might solve the issue anyway. So now the next step, since we are not creating the calculator, right? So we are creating a web application that we want to test. So we need to delete the calculator folder, the calculator feature file. Yeah. So, and so the next step now is to add our Nugget package. So the Nugget package that we need to add is the Playwright. Yeah. So basically, so I would look into that. So, and once you've done that, yeah, we would kind of go through that anyway. So apology, this is not Selenium anyway. So I'm going to skip that. So I'm going to kind of then stop here. So we are going to look through this end to end and do the automation. Okay. All right. Thank you. So I'm going to bring Visual Studio, and okay, I know some people are raising their hands. So and we'll look into this together as I'm going through the steps. So as I'm going through the step, I will advise that you go with me as well. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to go through it one after the other anyway. Thank you. So okay, all right.